Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome in our first episode of program Potential of Pakistan. From the name of this program, I am sure you must have realized that it's all about business potential of Pakistan. In this program, we'll talk on different sectors of business. Viewers, as you are aware, there are numerous fields in business, and Almighty Allah has blessed Pakistan with efficient and hardworking manpower, different climatic conditions suitable for agricultural products, fertile land for cultivation, and even below the level of land we have got a wealth in the shape of minerals. Now, when God has given uncountable provisions and facilities to us, it's our duty to make effective and productive utilization of God-gifted facilities for uplifting the standard of mankind, irrespective of geographical boundaries, caste and creed. And the potential of Pakistan gives benefit to the mankind in the world like a circle which expands from one point to wider area when you dip the stone in the pond. And we want you also to come in the circle of beneficiaries which is spreading from Pakistan. As you are very well aware that there are numerous sectors of business on which we will be talking in these programs like textile, automobile, cement, construction, etc. and different other industries of Pakistan. And we will be giving you detailed information and statistics of that particular sector. And we will be talking with a panel of experts also to discuss past performance and future working potential. Today in our first program, we will try to cover the sector of textile industry of Pakistan. So before we start talking with our panel of experts, let's see the documentary on textile industry of Pakistan.
Textile could be termed as the backbone of Pakistan's economy. It is not only the largest industry in the country, but is also the greatest source of foreign exchange earnings in Pakistan. While export contribution is over 62%, it provides employment to 38% of the country's total labor force. Contribution in manufacturing sector is 46% and contribution in GDP is 11% and accounts for 27% of value addition in the manufacturing sector. From almost non-existence at the time of creation of Pakistan in 1947, the textile industry has grown into the largest and the most significant economic sector of Pakistan. Today, there are 458 textile units and the installed capacity of spindles is around 10 million. 156,000 rotors and 23,000 shuttleless looms. The textile sector has fixed assets of around rupees 140 billion, which constitutes 31% of the total investment. Textile products are basic human requirements next only to food. The demand for textiles, which is presently around $19 trillion per annum, is growing globally at an average rate of 2.50%. Thus, there is a great potential for textile exports from Pakistan. As such, has an enough opportunity to increase its market share in the global market. While the export of textile products increased by 18.89% to $8.02 billion during July-April of the current fiscal year, compared to $6.75 billion during the same period last year. The export of cotton yarn and cotton cloth rose by 30.10% and 16.31% to $1.12 billion and $1.75 billion respectively during the July-April period, as against $0.85 billion and $1.50 billion during the same period of last year. The textile industry will continue to play an important role in the economy of Pakistan for the following reasons. Pakistan is one of the 4 largest cotton growers in the world, ranks second in the export of cotton and third in the export of cloth. Availability of large quantity, around 10 billion bales per annum, of good quality is the basis of the development and sustenance of the textile industry. Pakistan supplies 25% of yarn requirements of the world, meets 70% of Japan's yarn requirements and almost entire requirements of Bangladesh and Taiwan. WTO implementation and the removal of quotas have created a big opportunity for increasing the market share, particularly in the European Union market. Textile productions will continue to grow in the developing countries, since the developed countries are giving it up in favor of more technology-oriented and value-added economic activities. Cotton prices are expected to remain firm at around 2,300 rupees per 40 kg and supporting the textile companies not only to maintain their margins but also to compete internationally. Textile industry is labor intensive. Pakistan has the advantage of having a large labor force with one of the lowest wages in the world. Keeping in view of the pace of growth in this sector, which is in response of heavy investment of around $5 billion in recent years for imports and upgrading of machineries used in manufacturing of textile, which has resulted in improved and internationally compatible quality of product. Pakistan is once again emerging as one of the finest quality of textile producing country in the world map.
Viewers, you have seen the documentary on textile industry in Pakistan. To talk on this subject, we are honored by the presence of three very prominent textile tycoons from Pakistan. First, sitting with me is Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig. Dr. Baig is a chairman Pak Denim, leading textile exporters and chairman Baig Group of Industries, a multinational group operating in UAE, Pakistan and Morocco since last many decades. Besides this, he is a prominent economist of Pakistan and he contributes articles in daily newspapers and chairman of Textile and Cotton Committee of Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Sitting next to him is Mr. Mushtaq Vohra, is a former vice chairman of All Pakistan Textile Mills Association and chief executive of Taha Spinning Mills Limited. Sitting next to Mr. Mushtaq Vohra is Mr. Zaid Bashir. Mr. Zaid Bashir is the director of Gul Ahmed Textile Mills, largest home textile exporters from Pakistan. And besides this, he is a member of Spinners Committee of International Textile Manufacturers Federation, and you are representing the committee in Pakistan. So to start our questions, first from Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig. So you let us know what is overall contribution of textile industry in Pakistan economy?
Yeah, thank you, Athar. We have a success story to share with our friends abroad. When Pakistan was formed, there was no single industry. The first textile mill was inaugurated by the father of the nation in October 1947 in Site industrial area of Karachi. And the journey started from there. Now we have, mashallah, we are producing textile, all kind, for 16 million people of Pakistan. And then we are also exporting $9 billion exports throughout the world. In textile, over a period, we have gained a name, a credibility, and we are down to number 2. Nearly all the known brands of the world, are manufactured here and are supplied here by our textile industry. Now, with regard to your question about the share of textile industry, it's very impressive. Textile industry holds about 60% of the total exports of Pakistan, so which is a very significant percentage. Then it also contributes about 46% in the manufacturing. That out of total manufacturing of Pakistan, 46% is textile manufacturing. And the main focus, my answer is that this is an employment generator. You have to take textile industry as the main source to provide jobs to the people, because this is the largest job provider industry of Pakistan. No other industry in Pakistan or anywhere else can provide that kind of job which the textile industry provides. Now, if you look at the GDP share, it is about 10%. Its share is in GDP. And I'm very pleased to tell you that the total investment of textile industry is 31%. $5.5 billion has been recently invested in textile industry. And this is a very impressive figure. For 5.5 billion is over $1 billion every year. And this is merely for the technology upgradation, for increasing and enhancing the economy of scale, for research and development, and for increasing production capacity. So by virtue of this, the textile entrepreneur of Pakistan, before WTO regime, 1st January 2005, they have invested these funds in their textile industry to meet the challenges of the post-quota regime. And I'm very proud to say that Pakistan textile industry is regarded as one of the most reliable supplier of textile product in the world.
That's great. That's great, sir. Mr. Mushtaq Vohra, being associated with the textile industry, and you are exporter of textile, definitely you need the services and assistance from our commercial diplomats abroad. So how far you are satisfied with the working of our commercial diplomats, and up to what extent they are helpful in exposing potential of textile industry in their country of posting?
Can I start with the detail of textile as it was? Because originally we had very hardly any textile mill in our country at the time of independence. Now we have 440 textile mills in our country. About 12 million spindles are installed in it, about 130,000 rotors, and about 30 to 40,000 looms are installed there. We have increased our exports and our production. We increased textile over a period of 4 years, about 40% we increase in the overall textile, and value added we increase about 65%. So thereby we can say we've been going on a increasing mood throughout. 2002 we had export of 5.9 billion, and then to 7.4 in 2003. 2004 it increased to 8 billion, 8.44 billion. 2005 it went up to 9.867 billion, and now we are hoping that inshallah we will be achieving at least 10.13 billion, because till now we've done 4.192 billion exports. But there is a decline. It is not as it should have been as compared to last year. That is 4.123 billion we did that. Coming back to your question regarding the diplomats, now the major access to market we get is through our direct contacts, through our correspondence, through our diplomats or our embassies sitting abroad. But unfortunately the people sitting in the embassies are really not trained people. They have not been to even a textile mill, and what to talk about projecting our products in the foreign countries. I would say a country like ours, where we are mostly based on textile, and textile is our trade name, and our economy is based on textile, I think we should have real experts sitting in our diplomatic, where they can represent our industry and they can explain actually what we are doing in our country. Like Mr. Ikhtiar Baig just said, we joined WTO in 1994, and then from the year 2002 with the present government positive policies, the businessmen in the country got encouraged and they started investing a lot of money in industry. And that over a period from 2002 to 2005, they've spent about $4 to $5 billion in the modernization of the industry. In return, we were expecting that we'll be getting market access to these countries, and that again, like you said, the diplomats, our own industry, our people, our product was to be introduced to these industries or these countries, and where we have been trying our best. And we've achieved a lot of products. We've got a good market in garments, we got good market in bed linen. But unfortunately, due to some of the negative effects or external factors, which are not within the control of our country or the businessmen in our country, we have not been able to achieve the targets we have fixed for ourselves. And we have not been able to encash on our investment. It is mainly because of the European countries, EU countries, where the market access is there after the WTO, after the abolition of quota. We had enough market there, but they have used their indirect means and restricted our exports vis-a-vis other countries like Bangladesh or other India. Bangladesh, for example, has been termed as a least developed country, and they have been given exemption from all duties. Vis-a-vis Pakistan has to pay GSM of about 13% and anti-dumping duty, which was at 12.5%, and now it has been reduced to 6%. You can appreciate a country we can compete against a businessman or a competitor. We can't compete against a country. A country like Bangladesh, if they are giving subsidies or they are giving some sort of benefits to their people, but at the same time the external factors like the European countries have given them free access to their market, or for example USA. Now our products going to USA, for garments 5 to 25% duties imposed. Now how can you compete for a country of vis-a-vis the other country? They get their products being introduced into US. Yarn, for example, Pakistani yarn is subject to 5% import duty. Now our products become expensive. We are not less than any other country. Our product is much superior and much better than any other country. Even we have been termed the best yarn produced in the world.
So you expect our commercial attaches to take care of these kind of problems for redressal?
I don't think the embassies can take, or the commercial attaches can take. If there is a complete U-turn,
You can give the government of Pakistan feedback about this problem faced in those countries.
We have been telling government of Pakistan, we have been agitating this, but I think people, for some political or other reasons, we've not been given the proper attention. I think here, now is the time we should have there should be diplomats sitting there, but that diplomat should be a technical person who can explain the technical position and the back of what we can get.
Thank you. Mr. Zaid Bashir, you are director of Gullam Textile Mills. And besides this, you are representing Pakistan in International Textile Manufacturers Federation. Pakistan textile industry aims to increase exports to, I believe, $18.6 billion in the fiscal year ending this current financial year. So from the present level of whatever it is right now, what's your roadmap and how are you going to achieve the goal of textile industry in Pakistan?
Well, I think to start off with, the industry has to change its mindset. We have to get out of this mindset of commodities and just plain vanilla textiles. We have to go more towards fashion, go up market. Instead of just providing simple products, go into embroideries, go into jacquards, go into, coatings, quiltings, and see how we can, with the same throughput, increase the value. When you go up market, you can go into higher thread counts in weaving, and with the same amount of throughput, double or triple that value of the exports which are going out of your country. Apart from this, we have to work on our efficiencies very hard. Especially, I would say, in the area of energy. We have to get away from non-competitive forms of generating energy, which we're using furnace oil right now, and move towards gas, combined cycle plant, steam generation, and see how we can harness the power of energy to help us lower our costs. Apart from this, another point is the infrastructure and logistics which we have. We have to concentrate on that so we can increase our speed to market. This makes a huge difference because today, the ultimate currency is time. And if you can get a product to market 2 or 3 weeks before your competitor, that is going to lower your cost by that much. Either you will have to pay less in holding the goods, or your customer is going to pay you more because he knows that he can order just in time from you. And last but not least, I think Pakistan should take the lead in setting up environmental plants. Because I think this is an area where the world, especially China, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan itself right now, everybody is lacking in this field. And if we take the lead and set up the environmental plants, the retailers of the West who are pushing for environment would definitely lean towards Pakistan and prefer our exports to anybody else's.
Thank you very much. So viewers, you are listening to the views of textile tycoons from Pakistan. We'll be back. Stay tuned with us. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. Viewers, you are listening to the views of textile tycoons of Pakistan. In our second spell, we'll start our conversation with Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig. So what are the effects of implementation of WTO regime, which has started from 1st January 2005? What is, in your opinion, positive or negative impacts on Pakistan textile industry?
Well, Athar, it is a very important question. In fact, from 1st January 2005, when the quota was abolished, we was thinking that it's a level playing field and it is just the quality and the price and of course just-in-time delivery will be the name of the game. So we was happy, and our industry, like I said, invested about more than $5 billion for
Sorry for interruption, sir. This more than $5 billion you have
last
spent
5
in
years.
last 5 years for balancing modernization.
BMR, balancing
BMR.
modernization replacement,
That's it.
just to cater the needs of the post-quota regime. But then we was very disappointed when we was, put some restrictions whereby level playing field was totally finished. Like, America has given some market access in the form of FTAs to some countries who are our competitors, like Kenya, like Jordan, like Morocco, like Bahrain. These are the countries where anything exported from these countries for American market, there is no custom duty. Whereas we are still liable for a custom duty for minimum 12.5% and it goes to 25%. So this was a hard hit from US markets. Then when you talk about the European Union, we was giving GSP status 1 year before the quota was to be abolished, and then we was thinking it will be continue. And GSP status was that things can be exported from Pakistan to European Union without custom duty. So where minimum 12% you are saving. But now plus status, some countries which were again our competitors, like Bangladesh, they're giving GSP plus status, Sri Lanka, they're giving GSP plus status, whereby things exported from Bangladesh and Sri Lanka to European Union is duty free. Now just imagine, Athar, that if we export goods from Pakistan 12% and my buyers has to pay minimum 12% and goes up to 20-25% depending upon the kind of product, the buyer will not be interested, will automatically becoming a second choice or the third choice. So I think that is a very serious injustice after post-quota regime, because when the quota was abolished, the name of the game was, it was the buyer's market, and wherever he will find the price good, the quality goes, and the delivery on time, he will place the order. But with these things, buyers are forced or constrained to divert our business to the other competitors where they are giving some incentives, some free market access. So this is one thing which I believe is not fair. And I, at this forum, because it's mainly for our foreign buyers, to request them to please use their influence in their respective departments and bodies and ministries to give a level playing field to Pakistan. It will also help them, we'll be able to supply them a competitive price, because when they're not paying 12% or 15% or 20% duty, our product will be more economical to them, and the product which they have already tested over decades. So this is nothing new we are offering with. So I believe that our buyers should also use their influence, and either let us have also the same concession, same market access, same free FTA agreements and GSP plus status, or by any way, I don't want to say to withdraw from them, that won't be fair on my part, but then say we should be provided level playing field. I think this is with all fair and justice we should demand.
That's right. Thank you very much. Coming to you, Mr. Mushtaq Vohra. So the experts of textile industry are of the view that exports of textile should touch the figure of $32 billion by the year 2014. So definitely Pakistan textile industry has to shift to higher value addition to achieve this target. So what steps do you think textile industry should take, or what steps textile industry is taking to achieve this target?
Actually, speaking from WTO point of view, that WTO agreement was signed for the purpose of few benefits which the manufacturers would get. Let me explain that there are 130 countries that are producing textile products, and there are only 30 countries in the world that are importing those products. So there are a lot of people offering the products and less people there to take it. Now two major countries, or two major areas where the products are, the textile products are going, that's EU and US and the rest of the world. As far as Pakistan is concerned, Pakistan exports to US is about 37.2% of the textile products are exported to US, and then about 13% it goes to China, 28% to, it used to go to 28% to Hong Kong, now it is going to again to China, because China is now importing some of the raw materials, and we've converted ourselves into a raw material supplier like yarn, for example, and that is why the yarn has increased its export by more than 31%, which is because, like Baig Saab just said, we've introduced we've spent about $5 billion, and out of this 64% has been spent on the spinning sector. Now here I start your question that if 64% or 65% has been spent out of this entire amount, this industry, the spinning part, needs maximum look after. In other words, you can say it is the engine of the textile industry, is the spinning factor. Now some of the benefits which have been announced recently, and they have been, the spinning industry has been totally taken out and has not been given any benefit, resulting thereby they are at the moment they are running their mills at a loss. They have to export or sell their yarn whatever price they can, but at the moment they are in a very weaker stand. So I do not expect that export would increase if spinning sector is not helped as it should. Now coming to our customer side, EU countries, there is a big change, because in EU countries the existing number of countries were 15, now it is increased to about 25. Mostly Eastern European countries have been included therein, resulting thereby the value addition or the labor intensive work what we were doing in the garments and the bed linen section, that has been shifted to these Eastern European countries where cheaper labor is available. Now they are utilizing the Eastern European position. Another factor which has done, it is the regional RTAs which has been signed by the US, by the European, even by the Eastern countries. Now country like Bahrain, they do not grow any cotton or whatsoever, but they have been given preferential treatment. So none of their product, Bahrain, Jordan, even some of the Latin American countries, Mexico for example, that matter, these countries have been given a free hand and they have been given market access. Now coming to Turkey, for example, Turkey is again half brother to European countries, and they have also allowed them to come in, and there's a big jump in their exports. You'll be surprised to know Turkey is exporting something like $72 billion worth of textile, and that is mainly because of the excess they are getting into the European market. That is being denied to us by one or the other factor. Now in the WTO, they beside giving us free access, they have arsenals. I call them arsenal because they say that you are not complying to one of those requirements, that is labor payments or working conditions or child labor, whatever they think, they try and impose that condition. For example, anti-dumping. For 2 years they have been investigating anti-dumping and they could not find
anything. This has been reduced recently, I believe.
They have reduced, yes, they have reduced from 12.5% to 6%. It's still there. I mean, you don't have an even playing field with other countries. If they could not find any problem with our manufacturer, or there was no dumping, why there is no justification for keeping this?
Okay, thank you very much. Coming to Mr. Zaid Bashir, we have just spoken about the target of 2014. Right. So how world textile tycoons are predicting that by 2014 textile manufacturing facilities in the West will be seized. So totally forcing them to outsource from different areas. So what's your opinion?
I definitely agree that textile capacities in the West are closing at a faster and faster rate every day. But by the West, we mean mostly Western Europe and the US. South America still definitely has its capacities. And their cotton production is also there, so that region is pretty stable. But big names in the US who once used to dominate the market, such as Pillowtex, now have ceased to exist. Dr. Saab and Mushtaq Saab have said that we get the market access and that we get the government support that our neighbors' governments are giving to their industry. I definitely think we can step in and meet this target. And there's other benefits I feel which are going to come in the future. India and China's domestic markets are growing exponentially. And we may see in 5 to 10 years, India and China may become net importers of textile rather than net exporters of textile, which would then leave Pakistan in a very dominant exporter's position.
So
Because
you are preparing yourself to meet that target.
well, we have to prepare ourselves to meet that target, but to do that, the government has to give very favorable rates for lending to expand textile capacities to enjoy that windfall when it comes. Because that opportunity will come, but it's whoever will have built up those capacities when the windfall comes will be able to take advantage of it. Because once market share is gained or it's kept or it's lost, nothing changes after that. It's only that one short window of opportunity. Whoever steps in, be it Pakistan, Bangladesh, Vietnam, is going to gain that foothold in the market. And we have to be very prepared for this.
Thank you. So viewers will be back after a very short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig, coming to you again. For most of the decisions, you bank on government, right? So, what role government is playing to assist textile exporters in Pakistan?
Yeah, Athar, if you, and it is also for our viewers to know that textile is the single largest economy of Pakistan, and this covers agri as well as manufacturing sector. And I've already given data, I don't want to repeat it, what kind of contribution textile sector is giving towards our economy. Now, the most important thing to me is that textile sector assists to solve and to address the social problems by providing jobs, the largest number of jobs to the people. So I think this sector, the government cannot go wrong not to support it, but to support it. Now, there is a national synergy for the textile sector. We are the 4th largest producer of the world best cotton. The first producer is China, which is 33.5 million bales. Then USA, 30 million bales. Then India, last time because of the BT cotton, their per acre yield has increased. Now they are producing about 24.3 million bales. And Pakistan about 12.6 to 13 million bales. So that comes about 101 million bales, which is the major production of the cotton of the world. So Pakistan has the raw material. Pakistan has the best skilled manpower. Our textile industry is equipped with one of the finest state-of-the-art plant and machinery. You know, people come and tell us a role model in terms with our technical expertise in textile. So we are doing very good in textile, but there's a lot more that could have been done. One, on the part of the government, you know, the time has changed. We're not talking about rebates, subsidies. We are talking about to provide level playing field. Let our industrial inputs be at par with our regional competitors. Like in gas and power, if the highest in the region, and in only spinning, 30% is the cost of the power. So then you're 30% highest in the region, you're out. So what I'm requesting here is, again I repeat, quote unquote, no subsidy, no rebate, but provide us level playing field. Our industrial inputs to be at par with the regional competitors, power and gas. Also, please see our markups are going very, very high because it is the banks who are keeping very high spread for their depositor and for the lenders, and which is not fair. If you look at the past few years, the lending rates was 4 to 5%. Now you're talking about 14%. Now this 10% per annum increase on a substantial amount, your balance sheet cannot afford it. So I strongly feel that government should also rationalize the markup rates. They should also focus little more on research and development. Pakistan has the best skilled people around. All we needed to train them on the latest technology, and they are the number one, and also to work out little more for the market access. I admittedly say here that our foreign missions or our government to provide market access for signing FTAs, has been failed. Failed in a sense that after WTO regime, January 2005, when quota was abolished, our regional competitors quickly moved forward and they signed regional trade agreement, the preferential trade agreement and FTAs with the countries who are giving them duty-free access. And whereas we have signed with few countries, we signed with Sri Lanka, we are signing with Malaysia or Singapore or Mauritius, but they are not the main markets. I think Pakistan should focus more for market access. We are not talking about 50 cents difference or $1 difference. If we are providing market access like our regional competitors, I can assure you our exports will increase many folds, and I repeat, many folds. But market access is something which I think government can easily afford. It won't be any burden to the national exchequer, but it needs a diplomacy, it needs lobbying, it needs our friends in Europe and America to realize that by giving us a market access, you are providing job opportunities in Pakistan, which is addressing our social issues, providing jobs to unemployed people, maintaining our law and order situation. And finally, here I will close it by saying that we had the devastated earthquake in Pakistan. When the tsunami occurred, the world is giving concession to those countries which were tsunami affected. Now this earthquake affected areas in Pakistan, it is a nightmare to even think about it. I get fits when I think about it, the situation, because I've been there and I've seen, and not me, the whole world has seen through the media. Don't we deserve a special treatment in terms with some market access or some incentives or some duty-free access for our economy to uplift to meet the cost of the earthquake reconstructions as well as to provide jobs to the homeless people? I think we deserve.
That's definitely very
and this is my message to our viewers and friends, our great friends, buyers abroad, to please see from this angle also how best they can help it to Pakistan.
Definitely, sir. It's very valid and sound point. Coming to Mr. Mushtaq Vohra, if you look into our statistics of exports, we can find out that out of total exports from Pakistan, only more than 90% is going in 20% of the countries. That's fine. I can understand that US is a giant buyer and European Union is a giant buyer, and remaining 80% of countries, so I mean to say 20% of export is going in 80% countries and 80% of export is going in 20% countries. So is it justified?
The problem is,
or in other words, I can ask, sorry, recently a very minor increase was witnessed in European Union market and a negligible increase in African market. So what are your plans to evenly distribute the balance of trade?
The position is, as a tradition, if you look at the products we manufacture here in our country, they are similar to what is being used in US and UK, for example, in the European market. But African countries, their demand, their type of product they need, they are absolutely different. Now, but at the same time, when you produce economies of, you consider economies of scale, especially the African countries or the other countries where whenever you get an order, it will be for 1,000 pieces or 2,000 pieces or 500 pieces of different sizes, different colors. Then it becomes very, very difficult to produce that sort of product because the quantity orders are not available from these countries because of their economic situation. But if the same thing, even you compare US with European countries, US you get 500,000 dozens or 300,000 dozen. At the same time, from EU country you get 3,000 dozen or 5,000 dozen. We would prefer to send it to US because then we can make mass production and reduce our cost of production, and thereby we are going there. At the same time, the market access to one of these countries, the African countries, there they have their own products, they produce themselves and they may not be using expensive stuff, so value addition exports cannot be made to these countries. But I think we should try these countries, but these countries are still they are importing in small quantity, which is not feasible for us.
Coming to you, Mr. Zaid Bashir, So since you are the largest exporter of home textiles from Pakistan, so do you have any special aggressive marketing plan for buyers like Walmart, Sears, JCPenney and these Harrods or these kind of large outlets?
Well, if one wants to do business with these type of international outfits abroad, one has to have very good internal systems. The basics are just having the regular ISO 9000 or ISO 14000 OQTEC certifications. All that is just now run of the mill. Now you have to move beyond this to sophisticated IT systems, ERP systems. And so you can, have electronic data interchange with these customers. They have to have visibility of your systems. There has to be total transparency. They have to see how your throughput is moving through the factory. They have to actually be able to go into your system, see where their order is, and know when it's going to hit the shelf. And we have to improve our partnering skills. We have to learn to go abroad and service these customers, give them the R&D and the design from over here, because the cost of doing designing and R&D over there is very, very high. And if we can support them over here, I feel we would get a very, very positive response from them.
That's good. That's good. So we'll continue our discussion. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. Viewers, we are going to start our discussion from the same point again, from Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig. So I would like to have your views about overall condition of textile industry and what are your views and recommendations to promote this sector in international market?
I think I will answer your later part of the questions because we are concluding. I think Southeast Asia, if you look at Pakistan, is a very vital country to play its due role. And textile is its natural synergy. We have not yet exploited the real potential of the textile industry of Pakistan, but the time ahead is very, very competitive. I strongly recommend that we have to do the capacity building, and we have to enter more joint ventures with transfer of technology and buyback arrangement. We have to have more effective marketing network and a very strong focus on research and development, where the government is also supporting us. At the same time, we have to also go for the clusters of activities like in the present policies, trade policies and budget, government has announced to form the textile city in Karachi, very focused for textile manufacturing only. They are also announced the establishment of the garment city. So very focused on manufacturing of garments. So I think this is the way we should come. And the last thing which I think is very important me to share with you and our viewers, that the perception of Pakistan is very wrongly portrayed abroad by some electronic media or whatever. I won't blame anybody, but I request our friends from abroad to come and visit Pakistan. Expo, every year has been held in Pakistan, and which attracts a lot of international companies, multinational buying offices and all. And when these friends go back, they say it's amazing. We could have never dreamed. This is the same Pakistan or Karachi, which we have seen at the television or in the media. So I believe that, to look is the believe, when they will come, they will see the real potential. The things are very normal. Pakistan is a very stable country. And by all means, I think we are considered as over a decades as a very reliable source of supplying of textile product. The government is also should do their best to improve the image and perception of Pakistan abroad, and that will be the best tool to let our buyers and more friends visit Pakistan to realize the real potential of textile industry of Pakistan, to see the state of the art plant and machinery and how modern lines we are working with. So this is my message and my request.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Coming to you, Mr. Mushtaq, what are going to be your views about?
Textile is a major name of the game of our country. We are recognized by textile. 38% of employment we provide, 12% contribution toward GDP. And again, we were the leader exporter, 66-68% of the total export for textile. Unfortunately, that 66% has come down to 49-50%. I'm sorry, to 60.5%. Now, this is because less attention is being given to textile, and textile at the moment is not in very good, comfortable condition. The government, having realized after 3 months of declining export, and the latest export figure 4.2 billion, it is reduced to 4.1 billion. And this is constantly, it is going down. This month again, the textile exports have dropped down by 10%. Now, having realized, the Prime Minister very kindly, he appointed a National Textile Strategy Commission to look into the matter and make recommendations. They have recently, they have given their recommendation, which has been reported as that value addition should be given at least benefit of 11 to 12%, and spinning should be given 3.5 to 4.5%. And in those recommendations is included that beside providing concessional or reduce or whatever method you say, the interest rate at which we had borrowed our funds at 4.5% at the time of balancing and modernization of $5 billion, it has now gone up to 13 to 14%. Some people talk this is not the real rate of interest. Then what is the rate of interest? My account is debited with 13 to 14% and I am paying 14%. If the inflation is to be reduced, then I am paying inflated prices for my raw material and my packing product. Now, one of the recommendation made by the National Textile Strategy Commission is that for the time being, some of the innovative taxes like EOBI, SESI or education cess should be suspended for the time being. We have to deal with at least 38 departments, and including these people, and they come and do audit and whatever. So instead of consuming our product in exports or doing our management business, we are most of the time we are involved in tackling these departments.
Fine, thank you. Mr. Zaid, at the end I would like to ask you about your opinion, and since you are the largest exporter of home textiles from Pakistan.
Well, I feel that as a country we should definitely focus on the cotton. It is really the beginning of the value chain. Our cotton has a lot of good natural characteristics. Its strength is very high compared to other cottons of the same length. Its dye pickup is very, very good. It is hand-picked cotton, so the level of neps in the cotton is very, very low. And we have to focus especially on the ginning sector, and we have to encourage this sector, because this sector, as compared to the rest of the textile value chain, is still very primitive. And I feel if we ginning, we can definitely improve the quality of textiles through the value chain substantially. So I feel ginning is a sector which the government should give incentives in and modernize it very, very fast. Apart from this, I would like to reiterate the point that Dr. Baig has made. I think that the image of Pakistan is not as good as as the product that we have. Our product is definitely superior to our image. When people arrive here, they're pleasantly surprised according to what the expectations are. And I think the government should encourage our hospitality and tourism sector to bring people here, let them feel the product, go back and tell their friends, because there's nothing stronger than the word of mouth to tell people back home how another country is.
That's good, that's good. Viewers, we had a very fruitful discussion with us on this topic of textile industry in Pakistan. With this, I am really grateful to Dr. Mirza Ikhtiar Baig, Mr. Mushtaq Vohra and Mr. Zaid Bashir. So, thank you very much for your presence, and it's been nice talking to you. Thank you very much.